Hey everybody, how's it going? Blades of God here from Hammer Bros Gaming, coming at you with the first in our alternate or secondary guides for the Gears 5 Master Escape maps. These are going to be done with random map selection and random class selection for all three of us, myself, Pyro and Mr. Beardsley. And as you can see, the map that we spun up for this run was the Ambush. And we're going to go through and we're going to each have a randomized class selected for us. And the reason we're doing this is that while we've already done a guide series on every one of the escape maps in Gears 5 on Master, we realize that not everybody is going to have every class upgraded to the point where it'll be useful. So the rules were pretty simple. We're not allowed to use any classes that we used in our first set of guides for the map that spins up. And as you can see, I ended up getting Protector. Pyro ends up getting the Nomad class. And Mr. Beardsley is going to spin up here in just a moment, and you're going to see that he ends up getting Demolitions. So we lucked out with our random spins. The Protector's a very good class. Demolitions is fairly good with the fact that we get a boom shot on the ambush, and Nomad can be useful with its fear ability. But now that we've already spun up all of our random aspects of the map, you can see Ambush, Protector, Nomad, and Demolitions. Let's actually get into the escape map itself. So you can see we have all of our master difficulty modifiers turned on. We're running the ambush and we are pretty much ready to go. So as I stated in the previous video for the ambush, this map is very teamwork oriented, like many of the maps. The unique draw to this map is that there is a lot of tight corridors to fight in at first, where you are being hassled by Juvies from behind, and the Juvies actually explode into a pool of fire when they are defeated. The modifier incendiary Juvies creates a explosion upon death of the Juvie. We also have more health, more lethal ghost pouncers, meaning pouncers go cloak when they're within 10 meters of you, ultra stopping power, reflecting shell Scions, and Iron Man. Reflective shell Scions means that the Scions are going to have a reflective shell after they take about 30 to 50% damage. They will have a reflective shell that reflects all damage back towards the person dealing it, including existing bleed damage. So you need to be very careful about how much bleed damage you put on the enemy. And then ultra stopping power you should be familiar with. That just means that if you get hit by an enemy bullet, you slow way down to about 25% movement speed. So here we go. We're going to be coming right out of the map. We're going to dive right into the actual gameplay now. We come out of the safe room and we move straight ahead. This first room can be very tricky because you don't have a lot of weapons, and what we're going to do is actually, I as the Protector am going to be sort of hanging back and focusing more on taking out the Juvies as they appear behind us, leaving Pyro and Beardsley to take on a lot of the enemies that we're going to run into up front. So here you can see the Juvies are coming up, and the Juvies do explode like a incendiary grenade. The nice thing is that if you can get them into a choke point, the fire actually will hurt the Juvies as they come through. So you can get sort of a bottleneck going and have the explosion. It won't lead to a chain reaction, but it'll do a little bit of damage, so it'll be a little easier to take these Juvies off the board in rapid succession. So you can see here, I'm pulling ahead. No, I am moving ahead because Beardsley had gotten downed. They had actually run by a hunter and didn't realize that it was behind them. So I came up, flushed the hunter out. The hunter unfortunately downed Beardsley again. There we go. Pyro's finally getting that hunter taken care of and getting him off the board. And this is what I'm talking about. As we push up, we're still having more Juvies come up behind us. And you can see right there, I kind of used that door as a bottleneck. So now there's a big pool of fire right there that the Juvies are going to have to run through in order to get to us. What you're going to want to do here, there's actually an ammo room directly behind me right now, and a pretty solid tactic is to turn around and get into that ammo room as quickly as you can, and then try to hold the enemies off in that ammo room. That way you have a door that you can close, and you don't have to worry about getting overrun or surrounded. So another thing to keep in mind is that Mr. Beardsley, running the Demolitions class, is running the Good Kill card, or Good Kill skill, which drops pilfer ammo every time he kills an enemy and he is near an ally. So because of that, we are going to have plenty of ammunition for the entirety of this map. Pyro is running the acceleration card as well as a couple other cards that are going to make the marks that deal quite a bit of damage. And me as the protector, I am running the Big Knife, Bloody Blade, the modified Nasher card, as well as the passive, I can't remember the name of the skill off the top of my head, but the passive stim regeneration. So you can see we're just sort of picking our way through. I'm kind of focusing on the back. I do push up a little bit right here because Pyro said he was going to watch behind us, but I got down, so I was trying to clean this area up so Pyro could find a nice place to post up and start going to work on the enemies across the chasm by the stairs. But that didn't end up working too well. Anyway, once we got that little area cleaned out and Pyro was able to start going to work with his Marksa, and Beardsley, you can see on the mini info feed there on the bottom left, he just had a wonderful boom shot that cleared out 4 or 5 enemies at once with that bleed damage. I turned around to go back and try to take out the Juvies, but I ended up getting downed. Beardsley got down while trying to revive me, so Pyro used that fear ability of the Nomad, and that caused all the enemies to sort of freeze up, even though it was just one Juvie at the time. It gave him time to get us back up on our feet and back into the fight. So when you come to these stairs, in this little sort of stairway room, what we like to do is actually have all 3 of us run down here. Pyro got hung up trying to snipe out some enemies with his Marksa, but we actually like to come down to this bottom part of the map, and I try to go right for the Pouncer first. The Protector can make very short work of the Pouncer with the melee damage, and then once we take out one of the Pouncers, we all try to fall back into this furthest ammo room from where we came in. The reason being is, again, these ammo rooms do make a wonderful choke point for any of the enemies that are going to try to come at you. You can see right here we're going to end up with the with me taking out the Pouncer in the doorway, and then again we have this big just wall of fire in front of us, which is fantastic for, you know, any enemies trying to come through. They end up getting burned, but we also are sort of trapped here until this fire extinguishes, which, not a big deal. We've kept a pretty good pace, and the Venom isn't really pushing us right now, so we're just going to sit tight, and Beardsley and Pyro are going to load up on ammo and scout out whatever they need in here. I believe it's either this ammo room or the one across from us has a long shot that I think Pyro is going to pick up as well. Or I might pick it up. I can't remember. But there is a long shot available, and it's in this other ammo room over here. Do be aware that when you open up these ammo rooms, you actually spawn in additional Juvies. So don't be caught off guard. Make sure you communicate with your teammates that you're opening up the room so you don't end up with them getting caught in the flood of Juvies that are coming in. And you can see here there's plenty of long shots, there's ammo, and there are flash grenades in here. All very important. You should make sure that you load up on that. Never leave ammo behind if you can help it, or grenades, and hopefully everybody has at least some kind of grenade on them at this point. But if not, divvy up the grenades that are available so everybody has something in their inventory. And then, oh, and you see Beardsley there, he was taking out a Juvie, and that explosion actually downed him, but you could also see that because he was near me, he dropped the pilfer ammo for us. So, like I said earlier, there's going to be plenty of ammo available. You won't have to worry about running short on that. And at this point, you know, we've sat down here for a while. You can see on the mini-map that the early Venom is kind of approaching us, but not, you know, it's not super close to us yet. So we're going to continue to push up. The stair area is cleared out, and up next we have the cafeteria. This is the last room before the safe room, and it's probably the hardest room in this first act, without a doubt. What we like to do is that if you were running a marksman class or something, this would be perfect for perfect setup for that, but unfortunately we are not because of the randomizer that we spun. So what I'm doing is I'm sitting back, and I was expecting Juvies to come up behind us, so I checked behind us, but nothing came up. So I'm going to work using the long shot that I picked up in the ammo room, trying to snipe out some of the enemies through those shutters. And it's going okay. It's not going fantastic, but that's kind of what you want to do, is sit back in this little corner room and try to take out the enemies as they come to you. You're going to face your first Scion right here, and it can get a little bit tricky, especially once he activates that reflective shell. So you can see we ended up getting down by that Pouncer. I popped my bubble shield here just because there seemed to be a lot of enemies queuing on us. And you can see all I'm trying to do is just poke my head out of that bubble shield a little bit, just enough so I can fire without the bubble shield blocking my bullet, and stay mostly in cover. That way I don't take damage. Again, I've said it in past videos, and I'll say it again here. That bubble shield, I think, is a very underrated ultimate. It is it can be a lifesaver. It has actually saved us on a couple of runs, and it is fantastic for buying yourself some breathing room when you have a lot of enemy fire concentrated on you. So you can see here I got distracted trying to snipe out some enemies through those shutters while using the bubble shield, and we had some Juvies come up behind us. Thankfully, Beardsley, I believe, was right on top of it, and he kept them off our back. And now we have Juvies coming in from the front, but thankfully I am paying attention this time, so there we go. That Juvie died in the fire, so that's proof that the fire does actually hurt the enemies, not just us. And now here we go. We've got the Scion coming up. I used the flash grenade, and then Pyro used Fear. And the reason he did this is that the Fear ability actually increases the amount of damage that is done to enemies. So our hope was that we could drop the Scion before he activated a shell. But that didn't end up happening. He activated the reflective shell. I got down because of the bounce back bleed damage. And if we were smart, we would have just used conventional weapons like the sniper rifle or something, or the shotgun that doesn't deal bleed, to take him down and just wait out that reflective shell. But it is what it is. We got him off the board, and it would only cost us a little bit of extra time because of the downs. So now here we go. We've cleaned up most of the enemies. We're moving up, just going to scout out anything that's available for ammo or weapons if we need it. There's a couple of guys hanging out in this little cafeteria area still. I didn't think that there was anyone left in here, but apparently we had missed a drone. So he's off the board, and now we're advancing. You can see the safe room directly ahead of us. And that's it. We have made it through Act 1. That can be a very, very challenging first act. There are a couple of really bad sticking points, but again, this is our second guide on this map. I will link the first guide in the description so you can check that out. Again, the first guide is the class setup that we would recommend running for this map. This is just an alternative map, alternative strategy guide for if anybody doesn't have the classes set up or leveled up that we recommended in the first guide. Alright, so as we come out of the safe room, you see we skipped the safe room because there's not much in there except a little bit of ammo. You can divvy that up to whoever happens to be running low on ammo at the time. But when we come out into the start of the second act here, if you could have whoever has the long shot run up onto that little piece of cover where I was, you can get a couple of really good headshots in. There's enemies sitting right out in the open. And it's a good way to hopefully take them out without them gutting into cover. Another thing to pay attention to is that we do have Juvies that spawn in the safe room behind us. So Beardsley had actually, I believe it was Beardsley, set a frag grenade in the door to take them out. And you saw that explosion on screen just a moment ago. And then something else to be aware of is that there are Pouncers in this first area of the second act. We've already shown that the Protector is more than capable of taking out the Pouncers relatively quickly with that melee damage. And there's nothing really to worry about. They're not that big of a threat if you can close on them, because your melee is able to do enough damage to stun them and basically stun lock them until they die. So as we come down here a little bit further, you can see we have a ammo room on each side, and there's a big ramp or slide directly ahead of between the two ammo rooms. You could take any one of these paths and it's going to lead you to the same spot. We go down the right path, or we take the right ammo room and then take the right path this time. In the previous video we had gone down the left path for reasons that are explained in that video, but this time we're going to go to the right. And the reason we do that is because we feel that with this class setup, it's better for us to have all of the enemies sort of directly ahead of us, whereas going down the left path, you would have a better chance at maybe getting some free shots on some enemies, but you're going to have enemies coming in from the right and the left and straight across when you came down to this bottom portion of the map. So from where we are here, the only thing we have to worry about behind us at this point is Juvies coming up, and we'll be able to hear them approach. So make sure that you communicate with the rest of your teammates, and if you hear a Juvie coming, just make sure that your Protector is aware of it so they can turn around and take care of them, or at least somebody can, so that you don't get close and end up having to dodge a bunch of fire on the ground. And then basically all we're going to do is just sit back here in this big sort of arched doorway, use that cover that you see Beardsley sitting on, and try to take out as many of these enemies as we can, as quickly as we can. You can see on the mini-map the early Venom is already pushing into the room that we were in previously, and obviously the big threat here is that you need to take out the Scions first. You can see right there's a Scion with a reflective shell active, and you can see that all I did with that first Scion was I tried to get a couple of headshots on it, and once he got down to half health, that reflective shell did go up, and we just waited it out and we took them off the board. Nobody got really damaged, and there was nothing reflected back because there was no bleed damage going. So it was pretty safe method for taking those Scions off the board fast and easy. You don't want to let them get too close because, again, I believe they're all Multra Scions, and they do a lot of damage very, very quickly. So don't let them close the gap on you. Keep them at a distance if you can. So you can see here again, we're not doing anything fancy. I just keep checking behind us, expecting more Juvies to come up. There's another one right there. And this is what I was talking about. See, now we have this pool of fire right in the middle of where we were trying to work. And it's something else that we have to contend with. I did pop my bubble shield because we had a lot of enemies that were keying on us in this one spot. And again, I'm going to try to do the whole poke my head out just a little bit from the bubble shield, just enough to get a shot off. I did not dive away fast enough that time when I meleeed that Juvie. The explosion did catch me and get me downed, and thankfully Pyro was right there. Beardsley was trying to come back to us to get revived, but there was that big pool of fire he crawled right into, and it didn't work so well for him. So, and here we go, we have the Scion, who he was approaching us and was getting pretty close. Pyro activated his fear ability just to buy us some time because both Beardsley and myself were in the down but not out status. So using that fear caused the Scion to turn and start going the other way, which allowed Pyro to get us both on our feet. And he had already activated his reflective shell, so he was basically free pickings as he walked away from us. So again, that when used properly, that fear ability is fantastic for buying yourself some breathing room, and it's with the increased damage, it can really help you clean out a lot of enemies very quickly. So we had camped up on that spot for quite a while, and we had taken out a lot of the enemies. As you come around the corner, you're going to have a few hunters or elite hunters that are still up top there cloaking, trying to hit you with a torque bow. You see Beardsley just rushed up there, and he's trying to gather up some torque bow ammo, so we're pretty much in the clear at this point. There is, like I said, right there was a cloaked enemy that I didn't see. I literally ran into him, but a couple melees and a shotgun blast is enough to take him off the board. And here we are, we're at the helipad already. So we're going to set up, everybody's got some grenades and pretty well set on ammo, so we're going to pull the door handle. And there's not a whole lot to say about this door hold. It's a fairly standard door hold. There's nothing super out of the ordinary other than the fact that there's a lot of Juvies. So the shock grenade is fantastic, so is the frag grenade in this situation. And you can see that we have both electricity and fire on the ground right now from the Juvies. We have a couple of Scions, I think. It might only be one that comes up, but normally the Scions are way too slow to get out the door, especially if you just get a couple of shots on them and stun them. So you can just wait them out until the door closes, just like that. And that's about it, guys. That is how we got through the ambush with alternative classes from our primary guide. I hope you found this helpful. Again, I will link our original guide in the description. But until next time, take care of yourselves, and bye-bye.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, please like and subscribe. You can also check us out on Twitch at Hammer Bros Gaming. I am Blades of God, and until next time, have a great day everyone.